totally unprepared. Okay, so let's actually read a Sicha. Let's actually read a Sicha. I want to just kind of hone in and focus our attention on the struggle of the Avos. Hi, how you doing? You're Nice
to meet you. Moshe.
On the Avos, on the struggle of the Avos, and what the tests of the Avos were. What was Hashem testing the Avos about? What were they trying to achieve in their avoda? What was kind of this highest level of avoda? And so let's just keep that in mind. And we also know that the Avos, as we spoke about last week, the Avos really were beyond what we even understand. They were the ones who really, their avoda and what they accomplished in avodas Hashem, however they were doing the mitzvahs, however they were interacting with what they perceived to be Hashem's will in the world, the Torah, that majorly impacted Jewish life as we know it. And I think that's something that we need to appreciate, that we have an inheritance from our forefathers, that our whole Yiddishkeit is an inheritance from our forefathers, how they perceived Hashem's will before it was given and interacted was the inheritance that we got. As we said, if Avram Avinu did not question Bameh Eda, right? How do I know? Hashem says, I'm going to give your kids this land to inherit. How do I know I'm going to inherit it? Oh, that if it weren't for that question, being as slaves in Egypt was not going to be necessary. How could it be? How could it be that the slavery in Egypt was something that only came about because of a crisis in faith by Avram Avinu? One question, one crisis in faith by Avram Avinu, and now we have hundreds of years of slavery, of servitude, of subjugation in Egypt that was totally, seemingly unplanned, unnecessary, until Avram Avinu asked such a question.
What was the question he asked?
The question was, how do I know? I need a proof. He asked Hashem for proof.
Why proof?
He asked Hashem to do something, to give him some kind of sign to show that he was serious.
And that's in the Torah.
Yeah.
But you can couch that question in a different way. Not that he had a doubt. It's just like he needed to, like when we hear stories of great rabbis that travel to Israel and they realize they're in Israel and the rocks are heavier. They have a sign. I'm in Israel. I'm in Israel. Why couldn't he just be asking for some kind of confirmation? I know it's going to happen, but make me aware when it does. So
it's done. It's done. I mean, meaning, what do you mean, make me aware when it does? He's saying,
it's
I
like
don't...
your GPS saying you've arrived. You're at your destination.
Oh, no, prove it to me. It's like asking your GPS, prove it to me. Show me I'm here.
Okay.
I told you you're here. What do you want? What do you want from me?
In a negative way if you want to.
I'm not, excuse me, I'm not a negative person here. I'm taking the cues from Chazal. Chazal say that if it weren't for Avram asking that question, we would not have gone to Egypt.
Okay, so you started out the whole class by saying this, that we're here because of the excuse of our forefathers. So who am I to argue with Chazal? So I'm sorry. So
it's that, but you see that how one question completely altered the course of Jewish history. Completely altered the course of Jewish history. I didn't make that up. This one question, this one crisis, one thing that Avram Avinu needed confirmation, even though Hashem told him.
Rashi?
What?
Rashi says it. I'm just curious.
I don't remember what Rashi says.
she didn't prepare.
Boy, you're really rough today.
Yeah.
What does Rashi say? Rashi says, B'meh, how do I know the schus? Just look at the words. It doesn't sound right. It doesn't sound right what Avram Avinu was saying. Just look at the conversation. I wish we had put a dagesh on this last week. But
what does he have to say about this?
Hang on 1 second. See the Isha. Where are we here? Over here. It's the listen. So many lessons over here from. Okay, it's in the Lech Lecha. That's the first issue. Lech Lecha.
In the chapter.
Pardon?
In the pasuk. Every time we're fine, we're not going anywhere.
I have a haircut for 2 o'clock.
David may be going to the gym.
Today's not a gym day.
Okay. Here.
Thank you. Send that to me.
Okay.
Oh, I watched this.
Okay, listen to this. Listen to this. So he says, so Hashem says to Avram, "Vayomer elav ani Hashem asher hotzicha mi'ur kasdim l'seisecha et haaretz hazos l'rishta." I took you out of Ur Kasdim to give you this land as an inheritance, to inherit it. And says, "Vayomer Hashem Elokim, b'meh eda, how will I know ki ereshena? How will I know I will inherit it?" What do you mean, how will you know? Hashem just told you. What do you mean, how do you know? Hashem just told you. What's your problem?
His question is more on how will I know that it's the land? Can I have some signs to know this is the place? But how do I know that I inherited it?
It says Haaretz Hazos. Haaretz Hazos. What's the
It's like
problem?
he's saying, are
You need a map? What do you need? This land I'm giving to you to inherit. How do I know I'm going to inherit it? What? I just told you you're going to.
Did he say in the future or the present tense?
Future.
What?
They both are talking in the future.
He didn't
Lateit
say-
lecha.
He didn't
So
say,
he-
how will I know I will inherit it? Because he was just told that. He said,
He
how
says,
will I
and so
know?
Rashi says,
I think you're being negative.
No.
Is it how will I know?
That's what the word said. How will I know? Not how will I know.
okay,
I will
so
inherit it.
if we look,
Yeah.
the pasuk before, right before this, it says Hashem took Avram out of the tent and showed him the stars and said, "You're going to have a kid. You're going to have kids like the stars. You won't be able to count them." Da 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 da. And it says pasuk vav is vehemin b'Hashem v'yachshavel lo tzedakah, and Hashem believed in him, and Hashem considered it like tzedakah. Okay, that's what the words are. Okay. Now Rashi there says, okay. I'm just going to read the whole with the English and everything. It seems obvious that Avram would trust Hashem's promise to give him children. What does the verse inform us? Rashi explains. Avram had such faith in Hashem that he did not even request from Hashem a sign about this promise that he will have children. But regarding Hashem's statement about Avram inheriting the land of Canaan, the next pasuk, there, Avram, however, regarding Hashem's statement about inheriting the land, Hashem did ask for a sign, saying to Hashem, "By what shall I know that I will inherit it?"
Avram asked for
Avram asked for a sign. He asked for a sign. He asked for a sign.
Okay, so we got.
Okay, he
210
asked for a
years of
sign.
slavery
He asked for a
because of
sign, and
that
because he asked for a sign, he was going down to Egypt. Doesn't seem like Rashi brings the right here.
You said Chazal, so I always
Yeah.
think that he's the boss.
Well, Rashi doesn't bring all of Rashi. Rashi's very precise about how he brings Chazal. He doesn't cut and paste Chazal. He doesn't cut and paste Chazal. He's trying to give pshat in the Chumash, and so he hand picks Chazal to and changes things as it is
as he wants.
as he feels is important.
Yeah, Moshe, pull that out for me.
Okay.
Welcome, Renee.
So he asked for a sign. So we see that little question, however significant it was, altered forever the course of Jewish history. We weren't going to go to Egypt except he asked the question. Okay, so now let's jump to Vayera. Vayera means, and he appeared. Okay, and he appeared. So there's something, the name of the Parsha, the Rebbe teaches, the name of the Parsha is always very significant, and is always, every element in the Parsha should be characterized by the name of the Parsha. The name of the Parsha should capture anything that's happening in the Parsha. Anything that's happening in the Parsha should somehow be linked to the name of the Parsha, Vayera. It's a thing that the Rebbe repeats and repeats and repeats over and over again. Okay? So we can take his word for it. Okay? So Vayera means he appeared. So we're showing something coming out in this week's Parsha. We're revealing something that was hidden. And in Hanami, that's the test of the Akedah. The test of the Akedah was, now I know, now I see. Hashem, Avram, it was revealed inside Avram something that was not visible prior to, here 2:4, was not visible, and by being successful in the Nisayon, in the test of the binding of Isaac, of Akedah Yitzchak, that being Omed ben Nisayon, that him being standing up to that test in the proper way, with the request in the tzivui to bring up Isaac as a korban, he was able to he revealed now a level of avodas Hashem that was heretofore hidden and could be questioned. Okay, and so the Rebbe is discussing this matter. Okay, what was this? What did Avram Avinu accomplish with this? What did the Akedas Yitzchak, the test of the binding of Isaac, accomplish that wasn't accomplished by the previous tests? And what was revealed? Okay. The test of the Akedah, which was the 10th of the 10 tests, it says in the Gemara, so already you see a very interesting lashon, right? Hashem is testing Avram, but he says, could you please do this? Could you please take your son up as a korban and offer him to me? Could you, please? Pretty please? Okay, kachno. Take please at your son, okay? We say, it says, so the Gemara comes out very strong. The Gemara comes out very strong and says that if Avram did not offer his son Isaac, if he didn't pass the test of Akedas Yitzchak, people would have said, there's nothing really to Avram. He was just going along with things. He wasn't really a servant of Hashem. If it weren't for Akedas Yitzchak, it was all a doubt. Avram's commitment to Hashem's, doing Hashem's will, being Hashem's messenger in the world, there was like a question mark on it until Akedas Yitzchak. Akedas Yitzchak, erased any doubt about Avram's sincerity and commitment and loyalty to the will of Hashem. What? Why? What was so big about Akedas Yitzchak, and what was so lacking in the previous tests that there was still this question mark? That if it weren't for Akedas Yitzchak, we would always wonder, did Avram really care about Hashem? Did he really care about doing Hashem's will? Was he really committed? If it weren't for Akedas Yitzchak, we would have that question. What's going on? How can we understand this? Okay? Hari ein perish adavar elish masiras nafsho ein b'mida rabba kol kach kafi anidrish avor nesayin akeda. We're not saying that the sacrifice that he made wasn't so great. Aval ein mida chacha shekol nesayin sekadon ze'amad b'em ein b'em mamish u'pran nesayin akeda hayin nesayin kash b'yoser. Are we saying it's not a hochacha if he doesnn't do the... What is he saying? He's just wondering why should this be? Why should it be that if he doesn't do a Akedas Yitzchak, everything else is bad? Okay. B'chlolos Parshas Akedah sher he called Karen Yisrael schusam lifnei avim sheb'shamayim lechein he shigur b'fi b'tfilos kol hayom yadua sheilo. So we know Parshas Akedah. There's people who read Parshas Akedah every single day. Every single day they read Parshas Akedah. Parshas Akedah is one of the cornerstones of Jewish faith that Avram was held up in this test. Lama maskirin anu tamid akedas Avram akadata as Avram. Why are we always reminding that Hashem should always see this more than any other mesiras nefesh, any other sacrifice that any other person did? Why is this sacrifice of Avram Avinu so pinnacle, so critical, so pronounced, such a sea change?
Are you saying it rhetorically?
No, I'm not. I'm asking what this is part of the question.
I know people. Me personally know people that would just pass on Judaism because of that.
Okay.
I pass.
You know, it's funny. My wife, she tells a story when she was in first grade. She was moved to a Beis Yaakov, or whatever, maybe it was second grade. She was moved into a Beis Yaakov from the community day school in Lakewood. only the school that like Rav Malkiel Cutler went to, but it wasn't firm enough by the time my wife got there. And so they sent her to public school, and like they were learning Akedas Yitzchak, and my wife raised her hand and said, "What? You're telling me that how could Hashem tell Avram to kill his son? Isn't that like that's not right?" The teacher went out of the class crying. The teacher left the class crying. Her parents got called in. Don't think it's going to work out here. Anyway, the principal had some sense, and anyway, but that's that. Yes, that's the. So I hear you. It's a challenging story, and yet it's made it into kind of the Hall of Fame of Jewish meisim, Jewish things, stories. Yeah.
So it's the ultimate proof that Abraham knew that God transcended life itself.
Well, we're trying to understand exactly what is it the ultimate proof of, and why was it the ultimate proof, and what did it contain that made it this ultimate proof that the others were lacking so much that there would be a question. There would be like, maybe he wasn't really into it when he left everything he knew, or when he jumped in the fiery furnace, or when he
did the meal,
right.
He's not really into it.
He's not serious.
Yank.
He's not serious. Okay, so that's what is it about Akedas Yitzchak? And we see the Akedas Yitzchak is like we don't have a reading. There's no option in the morning to read about going to Ur Kasdim or Lech Lecha, or it's we read Akedas Yitzchak. That's the thing. Right, that's the optional reading in the morning, or about Akedas Yitzchak. That when a Jew wakes up, he should read about Akedas Yitzchak. That he should remind this mofus, this thing before him every day. We can read about the man, and we can read about Akedas Yitzchak. Why is this so forefront?
Again, I'm trying to understand. When you say why is it, it's not rhetorical.
No, it's not rhetorical. It is. It is. The Gemara says that if it weren't for Akedas Yitzchak, we wouldn't really know if Avram really was loyal to Hashem. Okay, what's the big deal about it?
The way that you're articulating it, it sounds like it's like, duh.
Oh, it's not like duh. It shouldn't be big, or like
it's like no, it's so big that isn't it obvious?
It's so big. Why? What is it about it? What does Akedas Yitzchak contain that makes it this thing? Like he threw himself into a fiery furnace. He circumcised himself. Like what is an Akedas Yitzchak? Isn't it just like another? It's just like another example. Why is Akedas Yitzchak so fundamental?
So isn't it pashut?
What?
The answer.
What's the answer?
Well, I don't know how to really put it together bit by bit, but
Oh, so I thought it was so pashut.
It's very pashut. I'm a guy who had a son at 50. Who's now 21.
Yeah.
It's like everything for me it was everything. So that's what's pashut to me.
So it's not just the self that survives, but it's the next generations.
Okay, it goes a bit deeper. Okay,
Fine.
let's try to think that it goes a bit deeper.
Coffee, but I'm going to continue to listen.
Well, Sefer Ikarim, which is another sefer from medieval sefer. The Sefer Ikarim, his bir shetoichen achidush arishonim from the Rishonim, Arishon. His bir shetoichen achidush be'akedas Yitzchak haya b'kach shelo nesar b'fala akedas shum tzad hachklal. Part of the issue of Akedas Yitzchak is there was no pressure put on Avram. Remember, kach no. Would you please take your son? There was no mitzvah. It was like optional. Avram, hey, you mind taking up your son and shechting him as a korban for me? Could you do that for me, please? I'd really appreciate it. There was no mitzvah that was pushing him and forcing him to do it. Our Chazal already explained, the rabbis already explained al pasuk Hashem Yireh Amar Avram lifnei Kadosh Baruch Hu B'nai Shalom Galui v'Yadu Lefanecha Sheb'Shar Shamarti Li Kach No Az Bincha Az Teishchitcha She'ahavtas Yitzchak Ve'elei Li Loila. Right, when Hashem presented the idea to Avram, I could have said back to you, V'lo Kvar Amarti Li Ki B'Yitzchak Yikar L'Chazera. This doesn't make any sense. Hashem, what are you doing? Like, what would have been the normal response? If somebody said, hey, could you kill your son? He said, wait, I thought you told me that my whole legacy is going to be through Yitzchak. Like, Sarah Yemenu is going to kill me. What are you doing to me? You're ruining my marriage. You're ruining your whole legacy. Your whole legacy is to be with Yitzchak. Why are you having me do this? Like, why was that dialogue did not take place? I mean, you would just think, Rabbanu Shalom, like he did it by stone.
He questioned him about the inheritance of the land, but he didn't question him about the Achaia.
Very good, very good. He wanted a sign that this was really what And I think he may have learned his lesson that wasn't because he was going to get the sign by the bris milah at the end of the parsha. He jump the gun,
Right.
That time we talked about it all last week. What was really the question and about the inheritance element of it. And so, but good point. But also by Sdom, you can also see Sdom. It's the most wild story, I think, one of the most wild stories in the whole Chumash, that Avram Avinu is davening to save Sdom. Same Sodom and Gomorrah, right? He's davening to Hashem, please save. This is equivalent to, in 1942, saying, God coming to, Rav Moshe and saying, I'm going to kill all the Nazis. I'm going to destroy Germany. I'm going to destroy Nazi Germany. I'm just letting you know. He says, oh, but do you think there are a few tzaddikim you could save it on their behalf? Maybe there's some tzaddikim you could save it. Do you have to destroy the Third Reich? Do you have to? Can't we find some good people there? Wild. And that's Avram Avinu. And yet, over here, could you take your son and chop his head off? Yeah, that makes sense. Sure. Why not? Okay.
Let's have the deeper part.
I don't know that it was an option. You're thinking or stating that it's an option because you used the word please.
The Sefer Karim, which is a Rishon, says that there was no hachra. Part of the test was Hashem saying, you know what? This is what I would like. Please, I'm not telling you have to. I'm telling you this is what I want. You don't have to. Could you? That's what the Sefer Karim is saying. Now that adds another flavor to the dimension of the test over here.
But when I had employees, that never happens again, and I wanted them to do something, I'd always ask with a please, but they didn't have a choice.
Of course they had a choice. They could be fired.
True.
Okay, so they had a choice. So you're saying please. You're not commanding them to do it.
No, I was.
But as a boss, your commands are, they're just, they're not their master. You're their boss,
Is there any other place in Torah where Hashem asks like that, please, because everything else is commands?
We'll talk about it at the end, because there may be one mitzvah that's not considered a mitzvah. Does anybody remember what mitzvah is not counted by the Rambam? That also, the reason it's not counted by the Rambam is because once you command it, you can't really do it. Does anybody remember that? No.
Living in Israel?
No. Okay. Well, we'll bring it up at the end if we can get it connected. Okay. ולא אמרתי כן, אבל כבשתי ישרחמי ולא יהרתי אחרמיתו ישיישיד מזה שמפרש אפילו מצד מצווה השם יסברך לא יסע וממוכלך אחר שהיה יוכל יסנצל על זה ממנו בתיינס אמיתיס אם רצה. Meaning there was an element of if it was commanded, then Avram should have said back to him, look, I this isn't right what you're doing. This isn't right what you're telling me to do. Because, but I didn't. You told me this is what you like, and I didn't question it. It doesn't make sense. It's stupid. It's terrible. It's mean. I didn't ask any of those questions. I didn't question you on it. This is what you like. I said, okay, that's what you like. So now we can see how Avram's Mesiras Nefesh is self-sacrifice here to be willing to do what Hashem's will, even though it comes at a great price for him. It's different from after him, right? What basically the point of this Sicha is to say how Avram Avinu brought down a certain Mesiras Nefesh to be done, that now we can do in a way that only Avram Avinu could have brought down this way, that now we can tap into that purity of sacrifice that otherwise we would never have been able to attain. Okay? So just like we're saying that Avram Avinu, like he asked B'mei Eda, and that question which was an expression of a crisis of faith, according to that understanding, created the fact, totally changed the course of Jewish history. So too here, Avram Avinu facing this and standing up to this challenge of sacrificing his son, opened the gates, opened the channel for this kind of self-sacrifice to exist in Judaism for Jews, and that would not have otherwise been possible had Avram Avinu not gone through this test. So that's really what we're trying to hone in on, what was so particular about Avram Avinu that kind of set a template that otherwise we would never have been able to achieve without inheriting this koach, this strength that Avram Avinu was able to do this self-sacrifice with. Okay, so that's what we're trying to identify. That's what we're trying to identify. What was unique about this sacrifice? What that now we, without it, would never be able to make as pure of a self-sacrifice without Avram leading the way. Okay, that's part of what we're trying to explain. If somebody said bow down or be killed, okay, I'll be killed. Okay, there's something that I would not be able in that action to accomplish without Avram Avinu having first done a Kedas Yitzchak. Okay, what is that? What is that? What did Avram Avinu chap that was so powerful that now when I do Mesiras Nefesh, it's like an atomic bomb of Ruchnius? What is it? What did he inherit to us? Okay,
It's like saying, it's like before the Beatles, then we had Chuck Berry, and like before Chuck Berry, you had Fats Domino, and so you needed.
I feel like Lahavdil Elef Havdalas kind of makes sense here.
Okay, good. Fine, I agree.
Yeah,
but there still is always somebody.
No, it's not just that. It's not just that. I'm sorry. It's the opposite, because what you're talking about is somebody innovating, and then somebody dovetails on that innovation, and innovates more and innovates more. No, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about somebody invented a guitar. You can't play guitar without there not being a guitar.
Okay.
That's it. It's not like, oh, now I can play this on the guitar. It's like you don't have a guitar, B'chlal. You don't have a guitar to play on. It's like somebody gave you a guitar, and now everyone can play their great music on the guitar. But there was never music B'chlal without the guitar. And Avram Avinu gave us the guitar. That's more of a what?
You do a pretty good air guitar.
Yeah.
Do it again. Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, that too.
Okay, I do mean banjo. That was the electric. But okay.
I do an air bass.
Okay, cool. I do an air trumpet. Okay, we'll leave it for the end after the recording's over. Yeah, exactly. We'll be in a band together. Okay. Hamaylu v'achidish shel Avram Avinu hay b'kach shehu haya harishon shelad b'nesayin shel Mesiras Nefesh. Right? He was. Okay, so hold on. First of all, so every time that a person now does Mesiras Nefesh, kills himself for Hashem, right? There, we really have a mitzvah chai behem. We need to live. We don't want to die. We don't want to be martyrs. We don't want that. Rebbe Akiva wanted that. That's how he wanted to end his life. He wanted to end his life in an act of total martyrdom and Mesiras Nefesh. And that was a very, very high level. But most of us are saying we like to be alive, It's easy to die, but it's hard to stay alive. And so Chai Behen, we want to live. And the Torah wants us to live and to do mitzvahs alive, and it's for our life, and it's for our good, and it's for our benefit. And so when we do have to make that ultimate choice, because that's what the halacha is, you're right, for Avodah Zarah, do Avodah Zarah, kill this person or be killed, we have to make that ultimate sacrifice. But we do it, why? Because there's a tzivui, because there's a command. There's a command. We're doing it from a command point of view. There's a command to do it. So now when there's a command to do it, I'm commanded to do it. So when I do it, you never know it's because I really love Hashem or just because I feel obligated to do so.
Or the fact that there was a template.
Well, but Avram Avinu had the advantage with this Akedah that it wasn't a command. It was a request. Hashem requested that he do this. Now, today, I'm bound by a command to do it. So when I do it, it's great. It's a spiritual atomic bomb, but it's still because of a command. Hashem commanded me to do it, and my obligation is based on a command. Avram Avinu was based on a request. And so by doing it as a request has a very pivotal element to this test, that it was a request and not a command. But our Mesiras Nefesh, when we do it, is always going to be by a command. There's a halacha. So we're commanded. We're either commanded to not die or we're commanded to die. There's no. Either you have to stay alive, chai behem, or v'niktashti b'soich Yisrael. You have to give up your life rather than to do whatever the option is there, avodah zarah or killing somebody or gilur ice. Okay, fine. So that was a major element in what's differentiating what Avram's test was in Akedas Yitzchak. That it was not a tzivui. Okay? Now, so we're saying that it really kind of opened this path, it opened this channel for Mesiras Nefesh, that Avram Avinu kind of opened this up for now the future generations to be able to tap into. So but the question is now asked, but inyan Mesiras Nefesh before nimshach hayidei Avram Avinu od kodim listening akeda. He was willing to give up his life and do the ultimate self-sacrifice by Or Kasdim. Remember, b'nisayin Or Kasdim kasher hemed Avram esatzma ba'asakana mitoch Mesiras Nefesh amanas la'achid kol minei avodah zarah u'farsim elokus ba'olam. Right? Nimrod said, "You believe in one God, go into the furnace," and he did. Adasher kamoshe v'gam Rambam misifroi sefer halachas bikesh hamelech l'hargo v'nasa lo'neis. He wanted to kill him. He wanted to kill Avram. Nimrod wanted. He was the king of the world. He wanted to kill Avram, and he wouldn't bow down to Nimrod, and he tried to kill him. Hashem didn't say, "I'm going to get you out of this one. Don't worry, just jump in the furnace and you'll be fine," right? And Hashem didn't even tell him you have to jump in this furnace. Avram Avinu said, "What, you're going to kill me if I have to go in the I have to kill myself to prove that that's true? I'll do it. Wasn't it the best? Isn't that the best? What was lacking in that? That also wasn't a tzivui. Also wasn't a tzivui. Hashem didn't even talk to him. Hashem hadn't even yet introduced himself to him at that point. Why is that not enough? To be this Mesiras Nefesh, open up this Mesiras Nefesh trail for us to all follow in. Why wasn't that enough?
Because he was deciding on his own life. Now he's being asked to decide on his son's life. That's a big difference.
Okay, I understand it's a big difference. Or maybe that is the critical difference. Let's see.
It's deeper.
What?
It's deeper.
Let's see. V'yiseir mizoy. More than this, l'char nesayin dor kasdim haya af yitar l'gam nesayin kedishar nesayin kedishar. Okay, me'ach sheni nekei deloy ha'ma'or ha'rishon shel Mesiras Nefesh v'ila tel avramatun ador kush tel duchto. Right? Why didn't they deal with it? Okay, fine. V'yuvel behakted. Bir chedushin shel Mesiras Nefesh. Okay. Me'bir zeh shavram pasach hatzatzina divir b'achar of the makom Mesiras Nefesh ba'olam moving shelulei zoy sloyes ha'metziyah shel Mesiras Nefesh. Basically, we're saying that if it weren't for Akedas Yitzchak, if it weren't for Avram Avinu doing Akedas Yitzchak, there would be no Mesiras Nefesh for us to do. We wouldn't be able to do it. We wouldn't be able to really do Mesiras Nefesh. There would all be something lacking in our sacrifice. What would be lacking? What could be lacking? We died. We took the bullet. What would be lacking? Asbar b'zeh. Mesiras Nefesh perusha bittul hayesh v'ametzias. What's Mesiras Nefesh? Mesiras Nefesh is saying, you know what? I think I'm pretty good here. I like my body. I like my life, and I would like to stay that way. And Hashem is putting me in a situation where the Crusaders are saying either bow down or die. Guess I gotta die. It was nice knowing you, body. It was nice being here. This was a fun ride, but I gotta completely nullify my existence, my physical existence, and otherwise in this world. That's it. Sayonara. I've got to mevatel my ratzon. My ratzon is to stay alive. A person's basic ratzon is to stay alive, right? Otherwise, the person's sick. So they want to stay alive. So you have to nullify that. So since I'm a created being, I have a metzias, I have a creation, it's very difficult for me to be able to transcend my creationness. The fact that I'm created, the fact that I have this body and that I have this brain, how am I supposed to choose to nullify myself with myself?
That's a testimony.
How can I nullify myself with myself? How can myself nullify myself? It's like a healthy person, take a gun and kill yourself. You can't do it. Your brain will not let you do it. You won't. You can't kill yourself. A regular person cannot kill themselves.
They can choose to.
They can if they're really sick. They have to be really, really sick.
So is it?
They have to be really, really sick. They have to be really, really sick. A person wants to stay alive. A regular person, you put a gun in their hand, you say, pull the trigger. They can't do it. Even a person who wants to do it, it's going to be challenging. They have to really decide. They have to really, really make a decision. Otherwise, they won't be able to do it. I'm just bringing that up as a proof to or an explanation to what he's saying. Mitzias cannot be mevatel itself. Ein chavosh matiras atzmo beis hasurim. A person in jail cannot extract himself from jail. It's a klal. It's a general rule in the Gemara that a person who's in prison cannot extract himself from prison. You need somebody else to extract you from prison. I cannot overcome my own reality. Yeah.
So it's a history of success for voluntarily sacrificing yourself that had never existed. So that without that, we wouldn't have the choice.
Our choice would be always lacking. Why? I took the bullet. I'm going to take the bullet, right? If the choice is this, I'm going to take the bullet. So what's lacking? What's lacking in that? What's lacking in that? Okay, let's try to hear this. What's lacking in that? Because al derech haklal ein chavash mater atzmai basis or lefikach b'achrich yavoy koyach mimokom acher kedei shetafshar slagi kedei limzir says l'cher temua es inyan mesiris nefesh motzim gamanu b'masoilam. Right, we see also Goyim doing mesiris nefesh. Right, non-Jews also can they when they're made to make the ultimate, they can do it. They can also do it. We see there's self-sacrifices by Goyim. They go into dangerous situations for their beliefs and things like that. So what is the big deal? What is the big deal? Why did Avram Avinu need to do this? Why couldn't we have just sacrificed ourselves? Just because a big chiddush, just because a person is willing to die for Hashem does not mean that it's mesiras nefesh. Doesn't mean it's mesiras nefesh. Doesn't mean it's self-sacrifice. Because if mesiras nefesh is transcending my reality, my mitzias, my existence, I don't have the ability to do that. So what do you call somebody who does it?
No.
Not self-sacrifice? No. Why are they doing it? Because it's good for them. Because it's good for them. They make a cheshbon. They make it accounting.
Better than I'm out of here.
Better than I'm out of here. If I don't do this, if I don't kill myself, I'll have hell to pay when I get home. Or if you know, and so it's a cheshbon. So they're not being moser nefesh. They're with their mitzias. You understand? When I make a cheshbon, when I make a calculation and say the pros and cons, and then it equates that the pros is to die, so I'm doing it for me. I'm not doing it for Hashem. I'm doing it for me. Doing it for me. It's not self-sacrifice. It's self-fulfillment. That's the point, that I'm not able to overcome my own self. I can't pull the trigger. It has to make sense to me. And so therefore, every act of mesiras nefesh, in a certain sense, not accomplishing mesiras nefesh. Because mesiras nefesh requires an actual transcending of your own real reality. And I can't do that unless I make a cheshbon. Unless I make a cheshbon and say, you know what? It's taka smart for me to die. I'll get al olam haba. Right? If you're a Muslim, you get other things there, right? You get, it's good for me. It's better that I die. Oh, I'll be a saint. They'll talk about me for hundreds of years. It'll be gavaldik. And so the person didn't do mesiras nefesh b'chal. There's no mesiras nefesh. There's no such thing as mesiras nefesh now.
What about
There's
Yitzchak?
no such thing. What? Hold on 1 second. What do you mean, what about Yitzchak?
Was it mesiras nefesh for him? He allowed himself to be bound and he knew it was going to happen. And
I mean, he
Was he
understood that
thinking
this
it's
was
better for
he
me to
understood
die?
he understood that this was Hashem's will. I mean, you think Yitzchak Avinu is gvura. Yitzchak Avinu, gvura is that I'm not entitled to anything. I'm not entitled to anything. And so if now is the time that Hashem said my time is up and it's going to come through my father killing me, well, then that's what it is.
Okay.
It's like borrowing electricity from your neighbor and then saying, I need to unplug your hairdryer and say, what gives? What right do you have? I need to dry my hair. What are you talking about? You don't have any right to the electricity.
I don't have any hair.
So that's Hashem. That's There you go. That's also what we have to accept from Hashem. That's that we're not entitled to hair. Everybody with hair, please just know that you're not entitled to it.
Everybody with hair, please stand up.
Please, you're not entitled to it. Don't think you're so great because you have hair. Okay? You're not entitled to it. It could fall out. Okay.
And you're part of the bald.
That's it.
Like Larry David.
So does everybody understand what Mesiras Nefesh really is and why Mesiras Nefesh basically can't happen?
Yes.
Okay? What is Mesiras Nefesh? It's really self-sacrifice. Why can't it happen? Because in order to do it, you really have to overcome yourself, which is not possible. It's not possible to overcome yourself. It's really kind of not possible because you're always doing it because of yourself. Ironically enough. Okay. V'yesh loymar.
You're not entitled to hair. It's
It's
classic.
kind of like what's mine is mine, what's yours is yours, that kind of thing. And one that it's what's Hashem's, what's mine is Hashem's, what's Hashem's is Hashem's. It's kind of making that level of.
So let's see. What was Avram Avinu's chap? What was Avram Avinu's chap that he was actually able to achieve Mesiras Nefesh? He bequeathed Mesiras Nefesh to us that otherwise we would not have had it. We would otherwise have not have been able to. All the depths of our bubbies and zadis in Mesiras Nefesh in Kiddush Hashem would be for naught if it wasn't for Avram Avinu's self-sacrifice. So what he invented self-sacrifice. He invented Mesiras Nefesh. How did he do it?
You just told us there wasn't such a thing.
If it wouldn't be for Avram bequeathed it to us. He allowed us to be able to achieve it. Otherwise, we would always be in this idea of cheshbon. And why am I really doing it? And what's really going on? And it's really for me. But he was able to really do it. And by doing it, he put it into the DNA of Torah and the Jewish people. Pretty awesome, huh? Ravino. Okay, we'll forgive him from having us to go to Yetzias Mitzrayim. Okay, we'll forgive him. Okay. ויש לומר שבגילוי בעולם היה זה החידש העילוי שבניסיון הכד לגבי הניסיון דאור כזדם. תוכן המסירות נפש בור כזדם היה שעבור המסע נפשו יעבור פרסום אמונה בשם בעולם. Why was he willing to jump in the fiery furnace? Because he wanted to make sure that everybody knew that Hashem was in the world. ולכן יוכל להיות כסל כדאיתך. בעולם, you could have had a havamina, you could have thought, oh, Avram, that's why you're getting into the fiery furnace? שמסירות נפש היה על פי חשבון, the kedusha. You have a cheshbon. You want to make a stand. You want people to know this is the right thing. I'm committed. Don't think I'm wavering. Don't think Hashem does. So I'll jump in the furnace. Good. Your campaign. It's part of your campaign, right? When you fundraise next, you're going to say, and I jumped into a fiery furnace. So it's good. This is what you do. You take these kinds of actions to show that you believe in it, right? So there could have been a cheshbon by Avram Avinu, right? Could have been a cheshbon like that.
Do you think he knew he was going to die or thought he was going to die?
I don't think it matters.
Okay.
Meaning, once he does a Akedas Yitzchak, we know that he was legit the whole way, right? But I'm saying, if it weren't for Akedas Yitzchak, this was the question. Maybe by Or Kasdim, he wasn't legit. Meaning to say, he was making a practical cheshbon. If I don't jump into the fiery furnace, they're going to think I'm a fraud, and Hashem's going to be Yitzchak Hashem, and no one's going to listen to me, and da-da-da-da-da. So of course I'll jump in. So if he was making a cheshbon, then it's not Mesiras Nefesh. It's not Mesiras Nefesh, you're making a cheshbon. You understand that? If you're making a calculation, it's not Mesiras Nefesh. It's because it works for you.
You already asked us if we got it, and we said yes.
Good.
We go home.
You can't say that by the Akeda. You can't say that by Akedas Yitzchak, by Or Kasdim jumping in the fiery furnace. You could say maybe he had a cheshbon there, right? He was thinking about his donors. Okay, God forbid. Masha'ein kain inyan ha'akeda lo nimtza boy shum davar milvad ze shir elokim atal afikach masar avar masnafsha. There was really no other cheshbon. There could be no cheshbon. The chiddush of Akedas Yitzchak is there was no cheshbon to make. There was no cheshbon to make. Lo haya b'kach afilu inyan shel pirsim ba'olam. It wasn't that there was something to publicize in the world. 1 second. Ad kama amuka he midas his master shtrichli yisakadosh baruch he divrei Avin Ezra b'shasha akad b'noi lo yasham afilu narav. There was nobody around. It wasn't like he was putting on a show. It wasn't like he had a YouTube channel that he had a camera set up. It was not It was not going to be available to be seen. So it wasn't like some act of, pure sum that he wanted to show his self-sacrifice, how committed you have to be for Hashem. Adarabba. In fact, what was Avram campaigning his whole life for? What was his big thing? One God and what? Don't kill your kids. Don't kill your kids. That was Avram. Everyone was there were these from the nations around him. They were so from. They were saying, we got to kill our kids to give to God, to appease God, even though it's so hard for us. We'll kill our kids and they were so from, and they were doing it all for their gods. And, and Avram Avinu is this like weirdo outside saying, no, killing kids, God hates killing kids, this is what Avram Avinu was doing. This wet rag, okay, out there with the don't kill kids. God doesn't like killing kids, and now he's coming to say, "Oh, you kill your kid." Could you go kill your kid? What possibly would be the toelis for Avram Avinu to kill his kid? It's going to be a good sign for everybody. It's going to help his donors. No, it's the exact opposite. It's completely against his entire life's work. Okay? Because the only reason is because Hashem wanted and requested. He wanted it and requested it from me, so I'll do it. Therefore, Avram did it. It's only because Hashem wanted and nothing else. This is the bittul metzias b'tachlis. This is the nullification of self. There was no self to be. Hashem gave him a situation where he was able to actually do Mesiras Nefesh. There was no tzivui. Because if there's a tzivui, then that's the cheshbon. That's the cheshbon, right? So if you're commanding me, then there's something in it for me. You commanded me. What? Of course. So I have to. So I'm not doing it because Hashem. I'm doing it because of the command. What other mitzvah is not commanded? What mitzvah is not Hashem? Rambam does not bring this mitzvah as a command, because once you command it, you can't do it fully. Tshuva. There's no command for tshuva. Remember that? There's no mitzvah to do tshuva according to the Rambam. Why? Because the whole point of tshuva is that it's coming from you. It's coming from you. And so once it's a command, you can't do tshuva. Once you have a command, you can't do tshuva. You can't really do tshuva properly. Because once there's a command to do it, tshuva, so maybe you're doing it because there's a command. You're doing it because there's a command. And so therefore it's not really coming from you.
What is Yom Kippur all about that?
There's a mitzvah how to do tshuva. If you want to do tshuva, the Rambam says you do vidu, you do right, your charata, kabbalah ala asid. There's what to do if you want to do tshuva. There's how to do it. There's the way to do it. But the command to do it, no. There's no command to do it according to the Rebbe, according to the Rambam. He does not bring tshuva as a command. That's not one of the Targum mitzvahs. Okay? Because commanding it impedes its performance. The command itself detracts from its ability to be performed.
So is this getting at the definition of free will? That it's not commanded, that there's no reason to do it except that you choose to do it?
I don't know what free will is. I'm sorry. Okay.
Once you're married, it goes out the window.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Al pi kol anal muvanim gam divrei Ram shelo imra'in mamash b'rishonim. So before, right now we understand what the Gemara said. If it weren't for Akedah Yitzchak, we wouldn't have had a question mark about Avram Avinu's loyalty in the past, because we could have said that Avram Avinu's loyalty in the past was just because of his own self-interest. It made sense to him. Right? Made sense. So what to do? This makes this Akedah Yitzchak. What's the test of Akedah Yitzchak? It made no sense.
The main ikr here, though, the fact that there was nobody around.
The main ikr here is that this was completely lishma. that this was completely lishma.
But I'm saying
You
terms of
couldn't,
the
if there were
setup,
people there, you could have said he was doing it to as a performance.
I got that part.
But even if there were people there, it still wouldn't have been a good performance because it completely contradicts his exact message. His whole message was don't kill your kids. Hashem doesn't want you to kill your kids. So what would have been the point if people were around for him to do it in front of them? To show what? That Hashem is fickle? That Hashem really does want you to kill his kids? That Avram was wrong this whole time? Doesn't make any sense. So there were no people there, but even if there were people there, he wouldn't want to do it.
I'm confused. This idea of don't kill your kids is a medrash?
Yeah. This was Avram's huge campaign. This was his main campaign. One God and don't kill your
In
kids.
terms of, in a medrash?
Yeah, all over. Not just one medrash.
Okay.
Okay.
What changed his thinking between the questioning of inheriting the land, and then all of a sudden saying, okay.
Oh, no, that was a momentary lapse that obviously had something in him, but Hashem made a bris with him because he asked for it. Hashem made a bris with him, the bris bein absarim, and then following that, at the end of Parshas Lech Lecha, he actually makes a bris in his flesh, right? Which you do in an 8-day-old who has no brain, has any kind of cheshbon.
Right.
So it's very much in it, intrinsic. The bris is intrinsic. Our connection is intrinsic. You'll inherit, like a son inherits his father intrinsically. It's not a decision or merit based. It's because of our relationship. Period. That's what gives it. And so that's what he was doubting. How does that work? I need a sign that our connection is really that chazak. Okay. So the bris ben absarim. There was the bris milah, and so he's there, and he was oimid ben asayim. Hashem had a ratzon, and he just wanted to do it because Hashem wanted. And that is the avoda of a yid. That is the ultimate avoda of the yid. That we struggle because we have commands, and so we can always make a cheshbon. But if we really understood that Hashem is giving us everything, and we're not entitled to not hair, to not blood, to not air, to not hair, not air, not anything that rhymes with air or hair. We're not entitled to any of it. Or even that words that contain A, I, and R in it. We're not entitled to any of those things. Okay? Any letter in it. If it has a letter in it, we're not entitled to it. And so what are we doing anything for? For myself, whatever? What do you mean for myself, whatever? That I'm living and breathing, isn't that good enough? That I've lived and breathed for all the years that I've been alive, isn't that good enough? That I've gotten every food, I haven't been to a homeless shelter, I haven't had to beg for food, like Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem, like I have all my legs, I have all my limbs. Like I'm doing things. Hashem, you want this? Fine, I'll do it because you want it. Makes sense to me. Is that why I'm doing it? If I'm doing it because it makes sense to me, if I'm doing it because it's good for me, it's not Mesiras Nefesh. It's not Mesiras Nefesh. It's only when you're doing something that it doesn't make sense to you. It doesn't make sense. I'm putting on tefillin. Does that make sense to me? If you answer yes, then it's not Mesiras Nefesh. If you answer no, then it is. You say, I don't know why I'm doing this, but Hashem wants it, so I'll do it. It gives him kicks. So I'll do it. I know why I care about tefillin. I care this. This I care. This I know why I'm doing. I don't know. Hashem could command tzitzis. He could command bitzits. Whatever he wants. That's what you want. Fine. I'll go ahead. I'll do it. So that's what Avraham Avinu is really allowing us to tap into. He's allowing us to tap into that I don't really care about anything else but Hashem. And that even when I do Mesiras Nefesh, when a Yid does Mesiras Nefesh, even though you could have tained, he's not really doing Mesiras Nefesh because he's making a cheshbon. No, he's doing Mesiras Nefesh. Hashem.
For those that I mentioned earlier that said Kedus Yitzchak, I'm out. So perhaps you're saying that if they actually knew that this was all a setup in order for us to be able to download Mesiras Nefesh, that they would say, "Oh, okay, I'm back in."
Could be, but they may just say, "Listen, Mesiras Nefesh requires a bittul to Hashem." And if they're saying, "Oh, if Hashem is going to," that's the whole point. Like you're out, you're out because the whole test was. It doesn't make sense to you, but are you willing to do it? And so you see, right, Hashem had him do the right thing at the end of the day and not kill his kid. But you see that Avraham Avinu trusted Hashem so much. He trusted Hashem that when Hashem said, I want this, I like this. Okay, makes no sense to me. It doesn't just make no sense to me. It's completely a stira to everything I've been working for, everything you've promised me, like our entire relationship. Like, it's kind of like, and so the test is, so were you with me the whole time because it made sense to you? Were you listening and following to me because you saw how there was a benefit for you? And as soon as you see that it's not a benefit for you, or it's not smart, or doesn't go in line with your understanding, then you're out? Is that what it is? And Avraham Avinu says, hell no. I'm with you. I'm with you. This is what you want? Fine. I don't have to understand. I don't have to understand. This koyach of going beyond ourselves, that Avraham Avinu was able to be marish. He was able to download for us and bequeath that to us.
Shkoyach.
I just want to contrast that. I want to contrast that with another part of another Sicha. Right? Avraham Avinu, what would he do? He would give people a lavish meal. How did his kiruv work? Anybody know how his kiruv worked? He would give people a lavish meal, and he would have them bench, right?
Rub-a-dub-dub.
But what would he do to help them, give them motivation to bench?
You would send them a bill.
Send them a bill of how much? Like $100,000, like a crazy amount. So this was a great meal. Here, it's $20,000 for this meal. Thank you very much. They say, what? He says, well, if you don't want to pay, you can bench. So they're like, okay, we'll bench. Wow, you are Mesiras Nefesh. Whoa, Hashem. Look at these people. Look at the Mesiras Nefesh. They're going to daven. They don't care about Hashem. They want to save $20,000. It's the exact opposite. It's the exact opposite. Avram is convincing people by twisting their arms. And the only reason they'll do it is because it's good for them. No.
That's like how we start teaching kids Hebrew. I mean, you put honey in the
Yeah. We have to be broken. He's saying that it's a way to be tough. It's a way to be tough. When you twist somebody's arm like that, you're basically twisting their arm. Either give me $20,000 a bench. You're like twisting their arm, right? It's hard. It's hard. It's kosher, right? And so sometimes we need to be broken a little bit. There's something that needs to break in order for the message of Hashem, that our inner desire that is really to serve Hashem can be revealed. So we just see these two. These are basically like the bookends of the parsha, right? We see Avram Avinu inviting guests in the beginning, and we see the very end of Kedas Yitzchak, and we see this kind of this gilui, and the Vayera. And he appeared. This thing that appeared that wasn't there, and so we see that Avram Avinu he showed this element that he was not being coerced by what made sense to him. He wasn't coerced at any way from having his arm twisted. Hashem said he wanted it. He said, okay, I'll do it. And you know how many miniyas there were? How many as he went to as he went to Kedas Yitzchak, there were monsoons, there were floods, there was accidents, it was like at every step of the way, it was like as if Hashem was holding him back from doing it, as if to say, you can stop now, you can stop now, and he just kept pushing, he just kept going. No, this is what Hashem wants. He told me this is what he wants. I'm going to do it. Against all these seemingly signs. Hashem, you don't want me to do it? You don't want me? No. Push through these things. Okay? And so when we encounter something that or somebody yells at you, or you get a mussar shmooze or whatever, sometimes it just has to break in order for us to be able to reveal this inner ratzon that really exists, that's beyond cheshbon, it's beyond what's good for me or what's not good for me. But sometimes you need a klop, in order to break, in order to open that place where my real ratzon for doing, but that I could not hear without getting a little petch. I could not hear it. The Rebbe Marshab, when he was newly Rebbe, somebody came into him with a very, very difficult problem and broken and needed a bracha. And the Rebbe said, sorry, I can't help you. I can't do anything for you. And the chassid went out broken, crying. And the Rebbe's brother saw him crying and said, what happened? And he explained to him the situation and what the Rebbe said to him. And he went in and said, this is how you're going to be Rebbe? This is how you're going to be, he was newly Rebbe. This is how you're going to be Rebbe? Tell people I can't help you? What are you doing? And he said, the guy's out there crying. He said, let him come in. And he comes in and he gives him a bracha, and the bracha was niskayin. And he said, whatever bracha it wasn't going to go through. It wasn't going to go through before. It wasn't going to go through. There was a breaking that was required. There was a breaking. And then once that breaking happens, that then can reveal this ratzon, then it's there. Then it's there to be revealed. So Avram Avinu, unfortunately, he also needed this kind of crunch. He needed this crunch, Akedas Yitzchak, to reveal what was there. And he was, and sometimes we Hashem was twisting Avram's arm in a certain sense, but to reveal Mesiras Nefesh. And sometimes we also we're crunched, we're wrung, we're pressured, and it's like this is really just for me to reveal that I really, really want to serve Hashem. That it is my ratzon to serve Hashem. Rotza ani, yeah.
Abraham knows specifically that it's absolutely HaKadosh Baruch Hu speaking to him. That's a big factor, it seems, in making his choice.
Yeah, but he said ratzon ani.
What if we felt like Hashem spoke to us and told us to do something that was counterintuitive? Isn't part of the factor here that Abraham, in some way, he knows for sure that's Hashem talking to him? What about us? We hear things. They sound good. They don't sound good. Whatever. We imagine that Hashem speaking to us. But what Abraham knew that Hashem was speaking to him. And if we have a test like this, right, Nosson Nefesh, right, it's dependent on us holding that Hashem is the voice that actually was the one that commanded it.
Well, luckily, we have a lot of information from Hashem that is firsthand. So anything that Hashem tells us that breaks halacha and that involves overriding halacha, then we know is not right, because Hashem already told us what He wants. So He can't. If He's telling us that He wants something that conflicts with halacha, then we know for sure there's something wrong with our messaging, because it can't contradict something that Hashem already told us.
Abraham, you said he campaigned to not kill your kids.
That's what he understood.
And now
Hashem didn't tell him that. That's what he understood. His perception, his spiritual perception. Like you're saying, he had no doubt that Hashem was talking to him. His only doubt what did he know? What did he believe? What did he know to be right or wrong? If he knows that this is Hashem, then the only challenge is, do I know what's right? And the answer is, I don't. Because if Hashem is telling me He wants this, then that's what must be right. And it's not about what I think and what I believe and what I understand and my opinions and my takes.
Because you're going against Hashem's opinion. His Vada you're going against.
Now it is, if He tells me to do something halacha against halacha, but then Avram didn't have the halacha. He wasn't given a command, don't kill kids, don't kill people.
He knew the whole Torah. He knew Kol Torah too.
But he was never commanded. Hashem never told him. Hashem never gave him the mitzvahs. But it wasn't, he intuited it. It wasn't something that Hashem told him. He understood that this was the fabric of the world. But that was his understanding. It was he had a you know how there's IQ, there's EQ, there's SQ. He had a spiritual intelligence, and so but that was only his intelligence. So his intelligence told him, his sixth sense, whatever it was, told him that you don't kill your kids. It's not what Hashem wants. But when Hashem b'kvodo v'atzmo comes and says, I would like you to kill your kid, please. I'd like you to offer your kid, please. So He's going to say, well, let's see. I looked in the world and saw that this is what's the story. Hashem Himself comes and tells me this is what He would like. Well, I guess I know what's right then. Not me. Not my understanding. Hashem.
But you said, if you know that Hashem is in the world, and that's kind of the first Maimonides commandment, right? That we know God exists. But how do we know that God exists? Like, how do we know that we know God?
Well, the Rambam. There's two lashonos that the Rambam says. He's first lahamin and leda, to believe and to know. And so first you have to believe, and then but it should ultimately come into an actual knowledge. And we don't believe in a leap of faith. We don't believe in a leap of faith. We think that actually the seichel hayasher, that actual intellectual honesty will bring you to the Torah. Absolutely. Meaning, if the questions are brought to you very rationally, like let's take it step by step, is the world created or not? It's more reasonable to say it's created, because you don't look at anything designed and say, hey, this cup, it looks pretty like designed, works, it's harmony, everything, every element of it is working together. Is that created or not? So no one is going to say, you'd laugh at you if I say it just happened. Was this created by an ink spilled? And it just created, you'd think I'm a joke. So it's very clear that it's Hashem. Okay, next. If there's a creator, so then does he have a purpose for his creation or not a purpose? Well, usually if you create something, you have a purpose. So it's more reasonable to think that there's a purpose. Great. So if there's a purpose, does he want to tell people about his purpose or not? Or does he want to keep it a secret? Well, if you have a purpose about something, you usually want people to know about the purpose. So you would tell people. Okay, so Mistama, he gave a Torah. And it's not a crazy thing that the Torah is written by God. I mean, if you look in the words and the gematrias and all the connections, people can't do that. People can't put the Torah together. It doesn't even make sense for people to write the Torah. The Torah is not a document that's written by people. It's not. It doesn't make sense that people would write it. It doesn't make sense. I have 100 rayas. It does not make sense that people wrote the Torah. It doesn't. People wouldn't write that. People wouldn't say, don't work for 3 years. Don't work for a year. If you want crop rotation, have crop rotation. First this does it, and then that does it, and this part of the field, that part of the field. Don't say everyone called off for a year. That makes no sense. Don't say don't. Whatever. There are tons of these things. So anyway, that's laid up. Know that. You don't have to believe. You don't have to believe. You can know that. That's ridiculous. Think people wrote the Torah. That's stupidity. It's really the height of stupidity to think that people wrote the Torah. I'm sorry.
Well, I think the Torah codes also bear that out.
Great. And the Torah codes also have those problems and whatever it is. But if you ask these 3 questions sequentially, what is more reasonable? What is more reasonable? Give me a break. It's more reasonable that the world was like the 3 billion, 1 in 3 trillion gazillion trans, that the 100 monkeys can type Shakespeare, that chance, I'm hinging on that, versus, it's designed, just like everything else we see that's designed has a designer. It's just, it's our heart. It's our heart that keeps our brain from thinking what it ought to. Our heart doesn't want it. Our heart is the gatekeeper of what our brain is allowed to think. So when it says amuna, amuna and understanding, these are amuna is a little bit of bittul. Amuna is a little bit of bittul. Amuna means I believe even though I don't know, I believe. There's a bittul. There's a suspension. So you can suspend. But once you're suspending and you read it and you look into it and you see it, it's ridiculous to think this is not. Of course, this is Hashem. Once you start learning, once you say, I'm willing to have the emunah that this really sounds good. This really could be Hashem. And once you go into it, every day it's a new proof that it is. This is not people intelligence over here. Unless Jews are just like beyond. I mean, it's just ridiculous. The option is that the Jews are superhuman, or that it's God. I mean, there's really no decision. What?
Or space aliens.
Space aliens. Okay, right. Yes, the space aliens. Yes. All right. Okay. So Baruch Hashem. Yesh lanu avos kazeh, yesh lanu Rebbe kazeh.